Key component of it, as far as finding peace this year, is to focus on consistency over perfection. Consistency over perfection. This episode 443. Um, when I launched the show, um, yeah, my youngest hadn't even started school yet. Now both my boys are in they're in fourth grade and seventh grade, right? The amount of change from the pandemic and the virtual schooling, right? So I have a little bit of trauma from that, but we survived. Hey, we're here. They seem fully functional. From that to personal changes to career changes to even my businesses have evolved quite a bit. But in the past 5 years, as of this recording, I've hung out with y'all regularly enough to the point where we're up to episode 443. Not one episode has been perfect. You can go through the catalog. Mistakes, editing mistakes, slipping over my tongue. You might see one of my kids' afros running under here when they're much younger, and they want a hug from daddy, like that kind of thing. But that's all part of the game. Consistency is better than perfection. If I was aiming for perfection, there would be no show. We would not be hanging out. We wouldn't be hanging out. I found that perfection or aiming for perfection, you don't have to be a perfectionist per se, but aiming for perfection will keep you stuck. There's a major project that I'm working on right now that I'll be announcing to you guys really soon. It could have came out a lot earlier. I was waiting for this moment for the stars to align. Shout out to the astronomist and the astrologists out there. I was waiting for the stars to align. And it's like, Damon, you have to align. Forget the stars. You have to align. Same for you. Sometimes we lack peace or we feel confused because there's something that we know we ought to be doing, but we're coming up with reasons why it's not the right time. I'm a big proponent of timing. I love timing, as I say in my book Build From Now, which is within the Complete Bringer with collection. I say in my book, one of the chapters is about timing, and I talk about how I'm not about making things happen, but about finding the right time and then getting in there. There's a dark side to that because sometimes it's never the right time, and sometimes the time is fine, but it's not perfect. As I've talked about in the past, how many degrees do you need to have? How many friends do you need to talk to tell you it's a good idea you should go forward? How much does life need to convince you to show up as yourself, as your best self? Again, it's a chaotic time, particularly chaotic time. I'm not going to use the word I talked about at the beginning of the episode, but it is a very intense time. So, are you going to keep holding back that art, that creativity, that nonprofit, that contribution? Are you going to keep holding on to it until it's quote the right time, or are you going to consistently show up as again in the case with me where I keep showing up for you guys? Hair long, hair short, kids in the background, total silence. Lighting too dark, mic broken, mic great, lighting great. Doesn't matter. What matters is that you keep showing up. So many of us do not have peace right now, inner peace, as we talked about at the very top of the show, the internal peace, because we know there's something we're supposed to be doing and we're not doing it. There's guilt and shame that comes with that. I'm a creative. You got my sympathy. And at a certain point, you got to let it go. And I don't mean stop doing the project. I mean let it go into the world because the rest of us are waiting. And sometimes we lack peace because we know that the world is waiting. And that prospect scares us. To paraphrase, I believe it was Stephen Pressfield. Shout out to Stephen. I hope you're doing wonderful. To paraphrase him, We're often not afraid of failure, we're afraid of success. Because failure can pattern match my language, that can pattern match how we feel about ourselves, that we're not powerful. But if we know the book that we take out, or take out, what do you call it? Publish, right? If we know that the book that we publish, that um, the live show that we do, the podcast that we appear on, the job that we take, the job that we quit, the thing that we say, if we know that's going to impact the world in this big way, then we have to face that we have that much power. That's why we get caught up in perfectionism, or at least trying to have things be perfect. 'Cause I feel like there's a difference. That's why we're afraid to get stuff out there. Again, to paraphrase Stephen Pressfield, it's not because of failure. You don't have a fear of failure. You're afraid of recognizing how powerful you are, and you might not feel like you can handle that power. You might not feel like you deserve that power. When we show up consistently on off days, on great days, on fantastic moments and embarrassing moments, I have my share of both. You're not alone. Then it shows the world, maybe even if you're on that level, the universe, that we're prepared to embrace that power. And frankly, we all have that power. Fantastic book to think about this is No Mud, No Lotus by Thin Nhat Hanh. I think I have a physical book around here somewhere. Oh, I sure do. Ha ha. Most of my books are physical, believe it or not, even though I'm a tech guy. Most of them are physical. But my kids love to read, bless their hearts. I'm so glad they love to read. So they're still in my books. I got books in my car when I went in car loop and stuff. So my books are all over the place. But glad it was on the shelf. No Mud, No Lotus, very short book by Thin Nhat Hanh. Rest in peace to him. He died about 3-4 years ago. I did a video about it. You can look at it at bringyourworth.tv and just do a search on it. And his name is Thin Nhat Hanh. You can see it there. Fantastic book. All the links are below, by the way. And if you use the QR code, you can buy it directly from my bookstore over there. So you can go and check it out. Fantastic book. It talks about how if there's no mud, then there's no lotus. And from, I believe, I want to say Vietnam, you have the lotus plants, which are connected to being in the lotus position. If you've heard about that, or in yoga, or even meditation, if you see someone meditating, with their fingers up and all that, that's the lotus position. They're with their. I can't do it on the. I'm on a stool right now. With their, you know what I'm trying to say. You can look it up. You can Google it. I don't know why I'm describing it so detailed, but the lotus plant, which is one of those most beautiful plants in the freaking world. Again, you can Google that and look it up. It's created out of mud, and so this guy, who is probably, he might have been pushing 100. Number one, Martin Luther King Jr. came to him, made a pilgrimage to Thich Nhat Hanh to learn more about nonviolent resistance. This is like right before the civil rights movement really took off for African Americans here in America. So he's the OG to the OG, right? So that's one. Second of all, the reason why Dr. King went to him was because of the stuff that was going on in Tibet and in Vietnam and other areas that he was exposed to. The thing is that without the tension, without the conflict, without the hard times, then you're not going to have that rigor. You're not going to get opportunity to develop that inner stillness. I'm not crazy about conflict, but people that know me know I don't have a problem with conflict either. Part of the reason why I don't have a problem with it is because that facilitates growth. Change is conflict. Being in a relationship, romantically or otherwise, is conflict because there are two different interests, at least two different interests. Who you're going to be to make an impact on the world might have to be a little bit different than the person you are now. Therefore, there needs to be some type of conflict, some type of change that happens for you to truly be at the place where you can contribute to the world on the level that you potentially can. That's not saying you can't contribute now, but if you're going through some stuff, maybe it's helping you get to that next level. That's all I got to say about that. I can opine about that for another hour, but I am not. I will spare you guys. But this book is an example of that, and he talks about some of the wartime things that he went through, some of the stuff he saw. You can see a little picture of him there. He's a he was a short monk, and one of my favorite people to read. Rest in peace to him. Fantastic book. He has a few other books, but this is the one. This is the one. So I would recommend that one. What are the areas in your own life where you are actually focused more on trying to make it right versus trying to show up? Let me know in the comments. I'm really curious, and we can kind of have a conversation about it. Because I think that's the challenge that a lot of us that are in creative fields, a lot of us that have our own agency and don't have a boss, you know, we're working for ourselves and we're the worst boss in the world, right? That's part of the game. You're watching Bring Your Worth TV. I'm entrepreneurial coach Damon Brown, here to help you as a side hustler, solopreneur, otherwise a non-traditional entrepreneur. Bring Your Worth TV. You can subscribe for free. All the links are below. If you're on Twitch or other platforms, you can subscribe there too. Follow me, what have you. And you can watch it on Wednesdays live at 1:11 p.m. So same time, Vegas time. I do, speaking of balance and peace, I do take breaks and stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to having some best ofs or even reruns, which I noticed that some of the younger generations do not know what a rerun is. And I was like, oh man, you don't, because you grew up with TV on YouTube. But it's when an episode plays again, just to make it clear. And so so there might be some reruns or some replay episodes in the future too, because I will be doing some traveling and also, of course, spending time with the aforementioned family. All right, I'm cracking myself up today.